So in this video, we're going to talk to you about how to play the Leagues of Votann. I'm Jake Harding from Vanguard Tactics. I'm joined here with Michael Cosello. Michael, how are you?
I am well, thank you. And I think it's important to say thank you to Games Workshop for sending us all of the preview copies of all of the indexes. We very much appreciate it. Obviously couldn't make this content for you guys without them.
Amazing, yeah.
The Leagues of Votann, Jake, I know are very, very close to your heart.
And my arm.
And your arm.
So, yeah, they are my favourite faction in this fantastic game we have of Warhammer 40k. So, let's start talking about who they are.
Yes.
Yeah. So
tell me a story, Jake.
Well, so they're basically space dwarfs, but they're not space dwarfs because you're not allowed to say that. They are like,
right, okay.
They are a group of people who are slightly shorter, so I really relate to them. And basically, they go around the galaxy trying to find things, scavenge things, make things out of new things, forming alliances, and just doing all general stuff. And as they can see, obviously, they've got a wide range of miniatures. Some like half robot people, some sort of really cool looking sort of vehicles with a lot of weapons, very similar to other armies as well. And obviously, they are just genuinely amazing, and I love them a lot. So
the Leagues of Votann are very cool, and one of the newer races in the game of Warhammer 40k, and thus a limited selection of data sheets.
Yeah.
But plenty to talk about.
They have a lot of flavour, Michael, I think.
Okay.
So I guess we should just start off with actually what do they do? What is their army rule?
Yeah, what is their faction rule, Jake?
So it is the Eyes of the Ancestor. So how this works is this may be commonly referred to as the judgment token mechanic.
Okay.
And that is because whenever an enemy unit kills one of your units, you give them a token.
Right.
So you judge them. And basically, depending on how many tokens they have on them, depends on bonuses you get.
Okay.
So if you have one token on you, you get +1 to hit.
Brilliant.
If you have 2 tokens on you, you're +1 to hit and wound. Anything that targets that unit.
Okay.
So
that's really good. Across the army, it's mostly hitting on 4s, ballistical 4.
Yeah, there's a lot of, most of the army hits on 4s, I do apologise. But there's a few rare instances where they do hit on 2s or 3s even.
Oh, right, okay.
Mainly looking at the sort of the Hearthguard side of it.
Right, wow, so they could bump that up to 2s and higher. That's
but
really
then
strong.
If we look at it from the flip side, there's a lot of like strength, like mid-strength to high-strength weapons.
Yeah.
So you could be wounding a lot of targets on 3s, but maybe even 2s with a lot of the big guns like your magma rails.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting. There are other ways of giving units judgment tokens, which obviously we'll cover in a bit.
Okay.
But that is the main way. Is just whenever an enemy unit kills one, you give them it. Maximum you can have on you is 2.
Right. Okay.
And it's very cool.
I think there's a special note as well that if a unit's removed from the table while it has tokens, and when it's put back on the table, you put all the tokens back on it.
Yeah, you don't just get rid of them.
They're not like, so that's quite cool that they put that in there.
The only thing I will say is if, let's say, a unit is dead and it's brought back to life from some means, they do have 0 tokens on them.
Oh, okay.
Equally, if you destroy a unit and then the character is classed as its own separate unit, they lose judgment tokens as well.
Right, okay.
So they don't carry them over.
Right.
When they become their own independent unit because they become a new unit.
Right.
Right. So those are just 2 things to note on that, which is really key. So you've got to make sure you get that right. And yeah, really. And then obviously judgment tokens not only give you that, they also interact with a few stratagems, as we'll see in a bit. So yeah, so that's their army rule.
Okay.
But then we have their detachment rule.
Okay.
And do you want to talk me through this, Michael? Because it is quite good.
So the detachment is the oath band.
Yes.
And you pick an enemy unit at the start of the game, and then depending when you kill that unit, you gain command points, but you also put 2 tokens on them?
Yes, so before the game, you after the roll-off, after everything, you pick one of your opponent's units in their army. It doesn't have to be on the table. You can just pick any unit in their army, and they instantly gain 2 judgment tokens. And then depending on, at the start of a command phase, if the unit is destroyed, you get a certain amount of command points. So something to note on this as well, we've got to be quite clear. It's not when the unit dies you get them.
Right.
It is in the in your next command phase, in which the unit is not on the table and is destroyed. You get command points. So if it's battle round 1 or 2, you get 3.
Yeah.
Battle round 3 or 4, you get 2, and battle round 5, you get 1.
Okay. So if you're taking the second turn,
yes,
and you kill that enemy unit, in your command phase turn 3,
yes,
you'll check when it's destroyed, and you only get 2 command points, not the 3.
Exactly that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So that's another thing. So again, like just make sure you don't get caught out by that. It's quite a big sort of thing because I when I first read it was like, oh, that's how it works, but when you reread it, obviously comes a lot clearer.
That's really cool.
Argument, you can have 2 good ways to use this. So the first way being picking like a big model, and you're playing like a knight, one of the Primarchs, a big scary tank, big scary unit, and you can put that on there just so then you're getting +1 to hit and wound it for the whole game.
Nice, yeah.
Or you do the other, you look at it from the other side, and you go, I'm going to pick a weaker unit so I can kill it really quickly, and I can then know I'm going to get free free CP, which obviously will be used for some awesome stratagems.
Well, speaking of stratagems, let's have a look at those next.
But before we continue, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, The Outpost. If you're looking for great deals on your miniatures, paints and gaming supplies, we've got you covered. Their wide variety of exceptional service makes them the go-to destination for all hobby needs. So don't wait, check out The Outpost today. Link in the description below.
Right, so the first of the 6 stratagems, Jake, what is it?
So it's Warrior Pride, okay? So this is 1 command point, and you can use this in the fight phase when you attack a unit with a melee attack.
Okay.
And for every judgment token that unit has, you get a point of AP on your attacks.
Okay, so if they had 2, you'd get an extra AP2 on your attack. That's
and next, if you had 1 and an extra 1, bear in mind that is very good. Okay, so you could have your basic warriors that have no AP, but they have 2 attacks each, Michael. It's strength 4. If they have 2 judgment tokens on them, they're AP2 and +1 to wound them.
Yeah, +1 to hit and wound, and AP +2.
Yeah.
That's kind of like just saying, yeah, they're dead now.
Yeah, or equally, if we look at it from something a bit scarier, you've got Hearthguard, they're AP2 base.
Yeah.
So it could be AP4.
That's
You know, Berserkers are AP2 as well. Very, very decent.
Solid stratagem, that.
I love it.
What's next?
So we've got Ordered Retreat. So this is 1 CP. Pretty simple, this one.
Yeah.
You can just fall back, shoot, and charge.
All right, nice. Excellent tool to have in the bag.
Fantastic, especially for units like Hearthguard, where their shooting, in my opinion, is so good that they can be wasted if you don't get to be able to use that to the fullest. And then obviously,
and their combat's good too.
Their combat's good, so you can shoot. Fall back,
the unit, shoot something, combat something else. That's really nice.
Yeah, it's
really
amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
And then, arguably, I'm going to go out on a limb here, Michael, and say this is my favourite stratagem in the Votann book.
Okay.
Ancestral Sentence.
Yes.
1 CP. You pick one of your units, and they get sustained hits 1.
Okay, so every 6 to hit is an additional hit.
You bang on the money there.
Right.
Let me up that for you.
Okay.
If there's a judgment taken on them, it sustained hits 2.
Okay, so every 6 to hit is 2 additional hits. So it's essentially each 6 is 3 hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty strong. Cool. Yeah, and again, if we look at it, minimum, because they'll have a judgment token on them, you'll get +1 to hit.
Yeah.
So if we again use we'll talk more about the combos, but Hearthguard as an example, if 3 shots each on their Volkite plus D6 shots on their back, all of those guns are going to get sustained hits 1 or even 2. It's pretty devastating.
Spicy.
I love it.
All right, well, there's 3 more strats, so let's move on. The first of these last 3 is Reactive Reprisal. So what does this do, Jake?
So it's 2 CP, Michael. And how this works is after an enemy unit has shot one of your units, any unit, bear that in mind, doesn't have to, it's not restricted. You can shoot them back if they had a judgment taken on them. This is a callback from a 9th edition, from the 9th edition codex.
Right.
But the difference is, people, in the 9th edition codex, you couldn't shoot in your next turn. You can now.
So someone shoots you. Yeah. You then shoot them back.
Yeah. So bear in mind this is done after casualties. So you would see how many models are left in the unit, and then you would go. So it's not like they pick you and you just start blapping them.
I mean, I like this on even a land fortress.
This is fantastic on a land fortress.
Yeah.
What it's also really good for, and I think a lot of people underestimate this, is when some people can get a bit carried away with, oh, I'll just fire my pistols into this Hearthguard unit because I maybe could blink one off.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I know you're going to do a charge here, so I'm just going to pay 2 CP and blap you.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really, really good tool to have. Obviously, it is restricted by a lot of things. 2 CP, the cost, quite big.
Yeah, it is.
And you have to have a judgment token on them. So either using some abilities that we have in the army or the simple one of just them killing one of your units.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's definitely a harder one, but I think that it's still super good.
Okay, cool. All right. What about the next stratagem?
So we've got void armor.
Okay.
So void armor is really simple.
Yeah.
1 CP. When you're targeted as the target of an attack, you reduce their AP by 1.
Okay, cool. Kind of similar to like the Space Marines Armor of Contempt stratagem.
Yeah.
Yes. So AP1 becomes like 0. And you got a fair few armies that have fair few units that have really good saves.
Oh yeah, like
here. So
warriors have a 4+, which even on them would be really good. Right?
Yeah.
We've got our berserkers don't really have a save, so I don't count them. Hearthguard 2-up.
Yeah.
Landfort 2-up.
Really good.
Sages 3-up.
Really good stratagem.
Bikes 4-up.
Okay.
Super good.
Right. So there's one final strat.
Okay.
Stratagem, which is Newfound Nemesis.
Yeah, so this one is quite cool. So how this works is when your opponent reduces one of your units to below half strength, you can use this 1 CP and you give them a judgment token. But if the warlord's in your unit, you give them 2. And obviously we've just spoken about how good these judgment tokens can be, and also procs a lot of other stratagems as well. Like imagine this idea of, like, oh, I'm going to charge in, like we said, oh, I'm just going to fire some units.
Yeah.
I've reduced you below half strength. Especially now you can take warriors and units of 5, so you could use these little bait pieces as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's really good. I think it's a really good
I really like that as well. Even reducing, let's say, a land fortress to below half its wounds.
Yes.
You then can just stick a judgment token on them. Yeah, that's really strong. Really strong. I like that one. So 6 solid stratagems there. So let's see if the enhancements are just as solid.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Colourforge, our fantastic sponsor. Their range of spray paints has become our go-to for making our miniatures come to life quickly and efficiently. The quality and variety of colours they offer are truly unmatched, providing a smooth application for stunning effects every time. Check out Colourforge for your next hobby project.
So Appraising Glare is the first enhancement.
Yeah, and I think we're starting on a really good one here, Michael.
Okay.
So how this one works is in your command phase, you pick an objective marker on the battlefield that your opponent controls, and every unit on that objective counts as having either a judgment token or an additional judgment token if it already had one.
Okay, right. So if you shoot anyone on that objective marker,
you're +1
or fight them,
yeah.
You get the extra judgment token.
So this is the thing, right? Is that because it says they count as having a judgment token, you can use certain strats on them, right?
Yeah, of course.
So you could use this to even go an early, quite an early good play of going, okay, I'll pick that objective marker, your home field, let's say, if there is that in the mission you're playing. Lots of units on there. Okay, cool. So now I can see them. Going to pay 1 CP. I've got sustain hits 2.
Yeah.
Let's open up some fire and do quite a bit of damage early. Equally, during the game, in that important moment, if they've managed to get the jump on you and they've moved into the middle and they're holding a lot of mid-ground objective markers, pick the one with the most on it. They all count as having a judgment token and just fire away. I think it's a really, really good one.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that it should be in most lists. I think it's great. I genuinely think it's a really strong one.
Yep, cool.
Next is a long list.
Okay.
So it used to be a warlord trait, an auto-include warlord trait.
Right, okay.
Now is an enhancement, which is amazing. So how this one works is whenever the bearer's unit kills a unit, you can pick another unit and give it a judgment token.
Right. Okay, that's good. I think we're looking at lots of different ways to get judgment tokens around the board, which is fantastic. Are there any particular units you'd...
Yeah, so I'd give it to the champ, the E-champ.
Okay.
He's been the post boy for a while, and now he's really going to be showing his mettle here. Because of, in my opinion, one of the most devastating units in the book is the Hearthguard.
Okay,
so
right.
These guys will be killing stuff.
Okay.
He can go in their unit, and he does all the stuff he needs to.
Brilliant.
Equally, there's an argument for the Forge Master, because his unit is quite devastating as well.
Ironkin. Right.
So yeah, 2 solid units there that you could use that with. This is more of an enhancement that I think you'd just give to a character for the sake of giving it to him.
Okay.
I don't think it's an also include.
Fair enough.
But I definitely think it has a place. If you have those points left and you've got that, I would put that in.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right.
So we've got 2 more to come.
With the release of Warhammer 40K 10th edition, at Vanguard Tactics, we've put together the perfect course for you. If you're already playing 9th edition, but you want to seamlessly transition into the new edition, leave behind everything you know about 9th and understand everything you need to know about 10th, then this short course is going to be ideal. We break down all the complexities and give you step-by-step guidance on how to really make the most from 10th edition. We're going to help you understand all the basics of the game and then some top tips along the way to help you really get the most from your army and your playing experience. And if that's something you want to do and get signed up on our short course, which you can study in your own time, then do check out the links below and get signed up to our accelerator program.
So we've got two more. So we've got Grim Demeanor and Wayfarer's Grace.
Yes.
So do you want to talk us through Grim Demeanor?
Yeah, so this one's pretty simple. So you can reroll battle shock checks for the bearer and his unit.
That's already pretty good.
And in addition, you ignore all modifiers except for saving modifiers.
Just all modifiers.
No, imagine. Really decent, really decent.
Yeah, okay.
So you're looking at your hit roll modifiers, your wound roll modifiers, which there are a bit more, you know, that we've noticed so far.
Yeah.
Any sort of battle shock modifier.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
That's the big one, I think.
If you had hazardous, I guess, if there's any modifiers to that as well.
Yeah. Movement, I think, as well.
Charges.
Like Votann, the movement value's low on most of the units. So, and we've already seen a few units out there, like the Barb Gaunts from the Tyranids, or the, what's it called, the Thunderfire Cannon.
Yeah, Thunderfires.
As well. Yeah. So being able to ignore movement characteristics modifiers is quite good.
Yeah. So any and all modifiers, I think it's really decent, especially for the hit and wound ones especially. I really like that. Massive fan of that.
Yeah, cool.
Then we've got Wayfarer's Grace.
Okay.
So how this one works is when the bearer dies, after you've put a judgment token on them, on a 2+, the bearer gets back up with 4 wounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you can die, give a token to them, get back up, use the token potentially when you go and fight them. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's very good. Again, it's a bit of a situational one because either you've got to wait for your whole unit to die before you're the one to die.
And the characters themselves aren't like amazing, like on their own.
No.
So I guess standing back up, maybe the Ironkin champion, because he does hit hard with that hammer.
And yeah, he's very good for it. I really like it for like maybe if someone wants to try and heroic challenge him out of a unit, and then you just sort of bait them by dies and then he gets back up and gets.
Yeah, so they could use the epic challenge core stratagem, which lets you have precision on your attacks on your character. A great way of getting around and hitting people's characters. So I like that as a defense against precision. That's really cool.
So that's all the enhancements.
Okay. What's your top pick?
Probably the I don't know, Grim Demeanor I really like actually, but it's Appraising Glare I think just has to sit above the rest for me.
Yeah, okay.
Just because of how strong I think it is, how it interacts with the rest of the army. But that Grim Demeanor may win me over. Who knows?
Okay. Well, let's take a look at some of your favourite units.
So let's talk about the first unit being the Carl. So your sort of main hero, your captain equivalent.
Yeah.
So I really like the Carl for a few reasons. So first thing that he does is the unit he's leading gains lethal hits. So every 6-year-old hit, it's just an automatic wound. Really good there for certain units like your warriors. Yeah. Where a lot of their weapons are either strength 4 or 5, except for the big weapons. So I think just having an ability like that's good. Yeah. The other thing a Carl does is in your command phase, you can pick a unit you can see and you give it a judgment token.
Well, okay. That's any way you can get judgment tokens in this army, I think you should put that in. So
and to be clear, without dying, I don't want to have to die for all these rules. So yeah, I really love him. The other thing as well is obviously there is another version of a Carl called Uthar the Destined.
Yes.
Now, in my personal opinion, I'm not a big fan of Uthar. Okay. But only because I like how you've got the Carl, he gives you the lethal hits, and Uthar doesn't. Uthar's like a beat stick, okay?
He is a beat stick,
You can go in there, he reduces all damage to 1, he does, you can turn dices to 6, all that, dish out loads of damage. But as a utility piece, in my opinion, for the units he can join, you've just got so much more value with our little friend here. On top of the ability as well, so give him those enhancements we spoke about.
Right, which one would you give the Carl?
Oh, I don't know. I think it would depend in my head what unit I'd want him to join.
Okay. And he can join warriors.
And I believe the Hearth.
The Half Guard. Okay. Yeah.
Half Guard. Yeah. So I think if I was going to let him join the Half Guard, I would go with the Grim Demeanor.
Yeah, to ignore the modifiers. I like that a lot. Yeah, okay.
But if he was going to go in the warriors and I had to pick one, it would be that Wayfarer. It would be the aspiring player. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So
So you've got like multiple ways of giving judgment tokens to the enemy.
Yeah. So he's either going out there with the guard and he's making them better, or he's sitting at the back and just picking units and giving them judgment tokens and putting more judgment everywhere. So I love him, and I think he should be in every army.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So that's the Carl.
Yeah.
Any other characters you want to talk about?
Yes, we've got our friend the champion here. He is really good. Again, another beat stick character. He can only join one unit, being the Hearth Guard.
Yeah.
And he does give them reroll charge.
That's good.
Which is great.
Good,
the other thing that the Hearth Guard have, or the Hearth Guard, when there's a character in the unit, they're -1 to be wounded if the strength characteristic of their weapons are higher than their toughness.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay.
They are toughness 6. Which is
okay.
Yeah, so pretty good. Yeah. So
okay, I take it we're probably going to be talking about the Hearth Guard because they seem to be mentioned quite a lot.
I think we need to speak about these.
Process. The champion, the hammer hits hard. I assume
the hammer hits very hard. D6 +1 damage.
Oh, okay.
But only 3 attacks.
All right. Well,
Dark Star Axe, more attacks, 2 damage. I actually really like. I'm sorry, Steve. I really like the axe.
Yeah.
I think for the utility of it, it's got more attacks. It does 2 damage each. It's a bit more consistent. And just how I could see this guy going in is that, what I think they would struggle with is like a horde of people.
Right, yeah.
So I think him just going in there with that would be really good.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I think the Ironhead Champion's probably the second character you'd consider taking.
Yeah, I think in the order of characters, these two sit at the top.
Yeah, and they do mortal wounds on the charge as well, I believe.
Yes, he does. Yeah, so
they're so bulky.
Yeah. It's all the beef. So yeah, and then the other 2 characters, I think are cool. I like the Forge Master, but I think he's a bit limited with who he can go with.
Okay.
And the Grimweir is very limited who he can go with as well.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't mean they're bad at all. No. They're just not. They're just not what I would say. If you had to pick 2, it would be those 2.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I think we've got to speak about the Hearth Guard.
Okay. All right. So what makes these guys so good? So you said they had a 2-up save.
They do.
They're toughness 6.
They do. They're 2 wounds each.
They're 2 wounds each. Yeah. Okay, that's handy.
Yeah.
-1 damage, -1 to wound potentially if there's a character in the unit.
Yes, and the strength characteristic of their weapon is higher than your toughness.
Awesome.
I don't know how much that will come up, but against those quite devastating weapons, it can.
Yeah.
It's more the shooting. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just talk you through their guns. So they've got a few. They've got a few options. They can either have a plasma or a volkite.
Right.
The plasma does more damage, more AP.
Okay.
The volkite, however, has more shots, but has devastating wounds. There's no AP. That's the only thing to know.
Right. Okay.
3 shots each. I think the unit of 10 is going to get 30 shots from this.
30 shots.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And the damage on the weapon?
It's just 1. So for every 6, you're just going to do a mortal wound.
Right. Okay.
So this is like a very weight of fire unit. Okay. So if you think there's 30 shots there, if you pay 1 CP if they've got a judgment token on them, sustain hits 2, and that means then you'll be hitting on 2. So it's just a bucket full of dice. Okay. Loads of opportunities to get those devastating wounds in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
If you thought that was cool. They also have another gun.
What?
They have like an auxiliary grenade launcher on their back.
Great.
D6 shots each, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage.
Right, is blast as well?
It is. So that means for every 5 models in the enemy unit, you get +1 shot.
Per gun.
Per gun, per guy. So
if you shoot a 10-person unit.
that's 10 plus 10 D6 shots.
Yeah.
And then their strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. Sustain hits 2 potentially, or just sustain hits 1.
Yeah. It would be 20, no? Because it's.
Oh no, yes, for every 5.
So it would be 20 plus
it'd be 20
shots.
That's 10d6 with potentially sustain hits 2 or minimum sustain hits 1.
Oh, I'm not watching you roll that, mate.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I'll just take the unit off.
You tell your opponent, look, I'll go to the toilet, do whatever. The thing is a lot of people will sit there and go, oh yeah, but there's not a lot of AP there. But there's so many shots, you'll just kill it.
And +1 to wound as well from a judgment token.
Exactly, right?
You know.
Like you just have to go weight a dice at that point.
Yeah.
And then they do have some decent combat as well. They've either got their, their sort of plasma blades, which are 1 damage but higher AP, or they have their fists, which are higher strength and higher damage, lower AP.
Okay, nice.
I think you'd probably just take the fists, just because of you've got so much little people, like dealing with little unit shooting.
Yes.
You want that harder hitting and combat. So yeah, guys, I already loved my Hearthguard before, and I love them even more now. So
okay, all right. Well, let's have a look at another unit then.
So Michael, I'm going to tell you another favourite unit of mine, and that's the Brockier Thunderkin.
Awesome.
I really like them.
Yeah. And
they're mecha. So first thing about them I'll tell you is their ability.
Right.
So they can Overwatch. They can, when they use the Overwatch stratagem, so 1 CP, you hit your opponent on 6s with shooting or movement phase. Yeah. These dice do it on 5s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that's pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, which is very, very good.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk about the weapons they have. So I like 2. This one I prefer a lot more to the other.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about it first, being the SP conversion beamer.
Nice.
Okay. So this gun is 1 shot.
Okay.
But its sustain hits D3.
Okay, so 6 to hit. You then roll a D3 to see how many more hits you got.
Yeah. Okay. Which, you may sit there and go, but it's just on a 6 and it's 1 shot.
Yeah, that's okay. You've only got 3 guys, so 3
Well,
shots.
Michael, if you're over 12 inches, I get critical hits on 4 pluses with this weapon.
Okay, now I understand.
Okay, so, and it's strength 7 -2 flat 3.
Ooh.
Bear in mind you can have 6 in a unit. So that could be 6 shots, hitting on 3s, but for every 4 is just going to be D3 extra hits.
So with 6 guys, the average is you roll 3 4s or higher, which means you'll have
an additional 6 shots, maybe 5 or 6,
potentially 9.
Yeah,
that's really good.
That's really good. With those judgment tokens for that extra
2 damage 3.
Yeah, so super decent there, super good. Really, really love them. The other one I really like is actually the grav cannon. So D6 shot, strength 5 -2 2 damage.
Yeah.
Blast, which is cool. But it does have a little keyword called anti-vehicle 2+. So yeah, so I think they are a really good toolbox if you're seeing lots of vehicles, which I think from the sounds of it, vehicles are super good now.
Yeah, they are. And then this anti-vehicle 2+.
Yeah,
that means your 2s to wound
count as critical wounds.
Right. Okay, which automatically successful. Right. Yeah. Yes. That's really good.
Just super decent all around. I think they're absolutely fantastic. The Overwatch is really good on them as well.
Agreed.
I think you have to have at least a unit of 6 in your army, guys, and maybe even more. Yeah, but I think definitely a unit of 6.
I just want to add one little thing about this unit and one of their rules in particular. So their conversion rule, as you've explained, any of their hit rolls of 4+ are considered critical hits, but it is any of their successful hit rolls of 4+. So if you were using the Overwatch stratagem on them, any of their 5s and 6s would be successful and therefore trigger sustained hits D3, but any of the 4s they roll, because they're not successful, they also wouldn't trigger a critical hit. Yeah, so just be careful with the little bit of wording in there and don't get caught out.
Amazing. No, thank you for clarifying that. But yeah,
that's all right.
Just another reason why they're so devastating.
Well, you've got plenty more favourites to talk about. So what is your next choice?
And now for a word from our sponsor, C Studios. They are the experts in providing professional miniature painting services, ensuring your armies always look their best on the battlefield. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out, C Studios can help bring your miniatures to life. Don't miss out on their quality craftsmanship.
So let me tell you about Warriors.
Okay, the old Hearthkin Warriors.
Yeah, so they've actually had quite a big change, Michael.
Okay.
And that is the fact that they're now minimum 5.
Right, okay.
So you would remember before, if you did play them before, they used to be 10 to 20. And now 5 to 10.
Okay, nice.
A lot more streamlined.
Yeah.
A lot easier. And yeah, I just think that's great. So it just means as well, you can put like a special weapon in the unit for 5-man.
Yeah.
And you're not having to worry about taking Sagittars to split, your units up. They can just be a good little objective holder at the back. You're not having to invest too many points in them.
Okay.
You've got the Thane of the unit, has a 4+ invulnerable save still. He did lose his extra wound, but I think that's fine in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. You can still give them the comms array for, if you spend a stratagem on them on a 5-up, you get the command point back.
That's nice.
You've got the Medi pack for the 6+ Feel No Pain on the unit. I think they could be really useful just as like a little piece. So like I said, to just sit in the backfield if you need to in missions or venture out into the open and everything. So I like it. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. What's their unit ability?
Yeah, so this one's actually really cool. So this is sort of, we've seen this a few times in a few other armies.
Okay.
But this is, so if they were on an objective marker that they controlled at the start of my command phase, that objective marker is mine, even if I move off it.
That is cool.
Until you come and get it off me.
Yeah, all right.
I think that's such a cool ability, and especially now that you can take a small unit.
Yeah, in 5s, that's
gives you that,
really handy.
It gives you that incentive, right, to just move them up, maybe adventure them out, have that objective, and then move on. Do you know what? I really like them. I think in any army you should at least have 5.
Yeah. Great unit. Really like it. Okay, well, what's your pick for? Let's talk about one more unit. Yeah. Okay. We'll address the elephant in the room, so to speak, or land fortress.
Yeah. And it is the land fortress, the Hecaton land fortress, conveniently. You read my mind. I loved this before.
Yeah.
And I think I'll love this forever.
Yeah.
He is so cool. So a few changes to him. Obviously, his bolt cannons now are sort of more streamlined with that twin link style.
Okay.
So it's lost a lot of shots, but now you can reroll wounds on them.
Right.
And that is the same for the beams on it as well.
Very nice.
Which I actually think there's an argument to take the beams on them because they have that sustained hits D3 like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Magma Rail. Still as awesome as ever. Devastating wounds, D6+6 damage.
Oh god! So on a 6 to wound, D6+6 more wounds.
But also the other weapons on it, Michael, are actually really good. It's got a big version of that C beam that we saw on the Brockiers.
Nice.
Still that sustained hits D3, but flat 4 damage.
Okay. Cool.
Or it's got a cyclone cannon that just has loads of shots, strength 9, 2 damage each. Yeah, it's great, and it has a transport capacity of 12, so you can put 10 warriors in here, you can put 5 Hearthguard in here and still have room of characters.
Yeah.
You can put 10 berserkers in there.
Nice.
Okay, which I think is what I personally would like to do.
Yeah, because they're not particularly durable, the berserkers, so it makes sense to go in this. How durable is this thing?
Oh, Michael. This thing has 16 wounds. Its toughness 12 and has a 2+ armor save.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's pretty tanky. Yeah.
If
you ask me.
Yeah.
Another cool thing it has is it actually has the firing, not the firing deck,
fire support.
The fire support rule.
Okay.
So a unit that disembarks from it.
Yeah.
Once this model hits a target with a shooting attack, you can pick that unit and you can reroll all your wounds into that unit from the unit that disembarked.
Yeah. Cool.
So remember we spoke about a bit ago with the Hearthguard.
Yeah. With
the devastating wounds on their Volkite.
I see where we're going.
You don't have as many of them because you can only really put a 5-man unit in there. Yeah. But still with that sustained hits combo.
I mean, yes.
I think
that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I genuinely think this thing is fantastic and definitely 1. But I just don't think we have room for 2 anymore. I'm sorry, everyone, but because we've got so much other cool stuff I want to put in.
Everything is good, isn't it?
Yeah,
everything
it's great.
Is
You've
good.
even got bikes that scout. You've got berserkers that still hit hard. I think the whole range is great, and like you said at the start, they don't have the biggest range in the world. Yeah, but what they do have is awesome.
Okay, well let's round this out with our usual question: how do you think these guys will play the mission, and do you think they'll favour fixed missions over tactical missions?
So I think that when it comes to the card style of play, those fixed missions, tactical missions, I actually think this is one of the armies that really prefer the fixed.
Right. Yeah.
And the pure reason for that is just because as the game goes on, and you start with your mobile units like your bikes, your Sagittars, all of these units. As you start losing them, you find that your board presence you really struggle with.
Right. Okay.
So if you draw a card like you could draw that Defend Stronghold, and you're like, I'm in the money there because I just have to sit on my own one. Yeah. But then as we're getting into the game and you're having to go to other objectives and cleanse them and all this, I think it just becomes so difficult. Whereas on the contrary to that, you've got, the basics, you've got like, you could pick assassination if your opponent has lots of stuff you can kill, that bring it down.
I guess it just stacks so well with the judgment tokens, is the vibe I'm getting. Like, you can pick these units that you want to kill for your point.
Yes.
And with the Oathband thing as well, if you've taken Bring It Down, then you can pick that tank at the start of the game.
And just get it off the table. So I think that, as much as it doesn't mean that you can't use the tactical ones, but I just think that the army in general, if you're wanting to play that sort of safer play style, it means then you can focus on actually controlling your primary.
Yeah.
And you just know what you need to do, and there's you don't have to worry about I've committed to this side. Oh no, I don't. I actually just am not fast enough to go for it. So that's just my opinion though, and I think that's how I would be looking at playing them. And when I eventually get to play some games of 10th edition with them, I think that's the way I'm going to be going.
All right, well, thank you for taking us through the Votann.
Oh no, thank you.
I look forward to seeing you use them on the table.
I'm so excited. So excited. So everyone, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a comment down below telling us all of your thoughts about Votann. If you're looking at starting them, if you were coming from 9th edition into 10th edition with them, all your thoughts of your favourite units and such. Leave a like on the video because it really helps us, and remember to subscribe for more content, and we'll see you in a video very soon.